Hello, everyone. Welcome to Warui Deshou's Stream of 4, and today we are covering episode 18 of Banana Fish, Islands in the Stream, which I initially misread as Island in the Sun, the Weezer song. That would have been pretty good, but never mind. Anyway, as always, I am Shadon, and joining me, as usual, is my stalwart companion, the Subtle Doctor. I was just about to open my beer, but I think that was the worst time. I'm just gonna have to pause now. Like, I've got the ball top half off, but saying that at the end of that sentence is the worst thing. Oh, but yeah, that line, fucking line.
I've been muted the whole time. Great. Our intro's been ruined. Lovely.
Well. We're catering to the lip readers, Doc. We're catering to the people who lip read. We've done it before. We'll keep doing it.
Yeah, it's always been it's you, and now I have also aired. So
my bad is infectious. What can I say?
we're terrible. We're such amateurs. Anyway, like I was trying to say, hello, let us know if the stream is working and you can hear us.
Well, they did, to be fair. So
going forward from here, let us know. Also, yeah, Tallulah, that was my bad. I said a funny line, and well, now the moment's ruined. We'll never get it back. So.
Oh no, we will, because we're going to talk about it when we get into the opening of the episode. The most sagely and prescient bit of advice ever given in Banana Fish. What was it? Colonel
Holstock.
Colonel Holstock. Colonel Holstock, like, if he had not been in that car, he probably would have survived the entirety of Banana Fish. I'm just putting that out there now. Because he knew.
He's a wise man.
Knew. He knew.
Yeah. He knows. Like, keeping it in your pants is a good way to survive, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's the only guy in this show who has a padlock on his zipper. So there you go. Anyway, so yes, we're going to talk today about episode 18, Islands in the Stream, which I also think is like one of the first times I recall that they've actually put the fucking book in the show proper.
Yes. Yes. I mean, it's just there, you know? I wonder if the book cover actually looks like that. You know, I've not done an Amazon search for it, and I've not read this book. As I said, my knowledge of Hemingway is fairly limited to like a couple of books, to Old Man in the Sea and A Farewell to Arms. A lot of these like episode titles, I don't even know.
I was gonna say, I don't think we've had A Farewell to Arms yet, but 10 quid says that's the final episode. 10 quid, final episode, Farewell to Arms.
You don't think it'll be Old Man in the Sea? Well, I mean, I guess our men...
Maybe that's before.
Our men are not very old, but... Snows of Kilimanjaro, yeah. Right. That one I actually had heard of.
Yeah, the actual book in the show. That's the first time it's happened.
Well, thank you, by the way, McGlorian, for saying so. We really enjoyed recording that Angel's Egg show with... the fine folks of Anime is Lit, our dearest podcast buddies. Yeah, shout outs to you guys.
I'll drink to you guys.
Yep, same. They're not...
I just realized.
They may be consuming... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I just realized I've probably been drinking beer pretty much every time we've been doing this, so people probably think I'm a closet alcoholic, which is not true. I'm just an overt alcoholic. There's nothing closet about it.
Oh, well, just...
There we go.
Shit. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, yeah. Danny and Kay are not... I know they're not watching or listening right now because I think they're going to go back and binge Banana Fish later when they feel up to it. I think I think it might be a little much for them right now on a week-to-week basis, but if I understand correctly. So, Islands in the Stream.
Islands in the Stream.
Do we want to...
Should we talk about the polls first from last week?
Twitter poll.
Let's talk Twitter here. I'm scrolling to find it. It didn't take long. Ooh, a couple polls still have a few minutes left.
Oh, get them in. Get them in.
Exactly. The first poll for episode 17, The Killers, are we A, human, or B, dancer? 79% say dancer. So
no surprises there.
No surprises at all. I agree. 20 minutes left to vote in this poll. Are all existent humans horny for Ash Lynx?
Yeah.
Duh, or probably. And it's 50-50. Vote now if you'd like to influence the outcome.
Which is basically in the affirmatory regardless.
It's not rigged. Stop it. This is true science. Twitter.com/Warui Deshou. Sorry, I forgot about this poll. There's still an hour left.
Uh-oh.
An hour left to vote in it. Oh, this piece of technology has become just instant comedy for me for some reason. It's the addition of PowerPoint, the best addition to the Banana Fish anime adaptation.
Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is.
The choices are yes, Star Wipe, and no Prezi. 88% say yes.
Oh, dear. All right. So, yes, thank you everyone for taking part in those polls. Without further ado, I suppose we should actually discuss the episode. And, well, the cold open on this one is brief, but it's very sagely, because this is where the Colonel finds out that Senator Kippard is now, well, dead. He's, ripped to pieces. He gone. So he's telling his nameless driver associate, who I presume only has 2 days left to retirement, given what happens next. He is saying to him, right, you keep it in your loins. And I'm like, man, no wonder he's a fucking colonel in the U.S. Army. He knows.
He's self-disciplined.
He knows. Honestly, I'm surprised that none of his men, if he was sending them after Ash, they would probably have chastity belts on, steel padlocks, shackles, you name it. They're just not taking the pants off because, I mean, if our poll's proven anything, as well as the actual show itself, is that doesn't matter what way you swing.
Nope.
You'll go after Ash, and then you'll die for it.
Just a breathing aphrodisiac in human form. It just doesn't matter what you thought about your sexuality beforehand.
Yeah, that's right. Everyone's Ash sexual. Absolutely.
You said that the driver was 2 weeks away from retirement.
Yeah, 2 days away.
Wasn't that the case of the first person that died in Elfenlied?
All of them are. Everyone is 2 days away from retirement. Because he's he looks like he's got a good life ahead of him. He seems reasonable, and he's been given good advice. It's just unfortunately not very helpful in this situation.
But isn't it textual? Don't they say that she was a week away from retirement or something crazy like that? It's been a long time since we watched it, but
I'm thinking of. Oh, you're right. Shit.
For some reason, I remember that.
I thought that was a joke I made, but that's actually something.
I think it might be textual.
It's the fucking Simpsons gag. Oh my god! Right, okay. Impromptu Elfenlied reminiscence aside, which is sort of like having post-Vietnam flashbacks, I suppose.
What if we did an Elfenlied revisited podcast? The 3-year anniversary. Oh, it'd be fucking brutal, dude. About two episodes in, I'd be like, why did we do this?
No. Just no. No. Once was enough. Once was enough to see, the fucking dog reappear without explanation. That was it. It was one. Oh.
I'm tempted to put up a poll.
No! People will vote yes for it. They will make us watch that fucking turgid piece of... Right.
People like to see us suffer. Yes. I don't want to do it either.
I mean, do you recall the last time that when we put a poll up about should we watch more stupid shit? Oh yeah, it was when we were watching Franks and people said we should keep at it. We had to sit through the other 12 episodes.
Forgalia will materialize and rig the poll. Oh, I wish she was doing these weekly streams. You guys would love Vorgalia. We're gonna have to try to get her
awesome.
to be part of these streams somehow.
Oh, bloody hell. We need to watch... Well, that's the thing, like, we've got the established Star Trek rules now, where we did a good one, which was Emmo, then a terrible one, which was Frank's, and then we're doing a good one again, which is Banana Fish. So when we do the next one, Stream of Thought Season 4, it needs to be something truly awful.
It won't be hard if we just select from currently airing shows. I feel like we could just pick one out of a bag, or based on the title, and hit.
Oh man, I'm so glad we dodged the bullet that is doing Stream of Thought on something like Goblin Slayer. Fuck that noise. Oh.
Oof.
God.
Oof. Okay. Banana Fish, episode 18, Islands in the Stream, Colonel Hallstock.
Colonel Hallstock dies in a car accident because of it. I think it was his driver getting shot in the head. Unfortunately, they happen to be driving alongside, a fully fueled, gas tanker, which of course explodes. Which I did find funny because Banana Fish was an 80s thing, and that is the most 80s thing ever in an action movie where it just fucking blows up. I'd have laughed if it on the cutaway where it explodes. Instead of that, it was just bang. It just crashed into it like mildly, and you got to see like the "How's my driving" sign. To answer your question, Mirror. Because Frank's was so apocalyptically shit, it was so bad.
Don't let the right-wing Twitter people fool you. Frank's was really bad.
It was a fucking skid mark, honestly.
Like there were good moments. I mean, if you go back and listen to those, which you probably won't, but there were a couple of high water marks. Where I gave a couple episodes very high ratings, but it just
mostly the ones made by Noriko Tsukawa, if I remember her name.
Yes,
she was excellent.
She did a really good job, but it just didn't deliver on anything it promised.
Yeah. She was literally the only person in that entire studio who could polish the turd that was Darling in the Franxx. There you go. But yeah, to answer your question, Mira, basically because it was that bad, I insisted that we do something that was good. Now, obviously, you don't necessarily know what's going to be good or not in advance of the season. That's the risk. It's always a gamble doing Stream of Thought. But Banana Fish was something I've been hearing about on the periphery of my Twitter feed for a while, even before it actually released. And the buzz around it was very positive. So I thought, okay, these are people I trust. So if they like the original material, the anime in theory should be good. It's not original material. It's a known quantity.
Yeah.
And for the most part, that has held true wonderfully. This show has been brilliant. I mean, sure, I've come down on it a couple of times, and unfortunately I will do so later. Sorry, spoilers. But for the most part, Banana Fish has been an absolute tour de force, I would argue. I mean,
its lowest ebb is still quite high for an average.
This is true. And all of its flaws are not ones that are complete flaws. Like, they're not. I can't say this is all bad. Like, it's kind of like a Jenga thing, like, where it all plays together, and if you pull one out, it might collapse. So it's not as simple as just simply saying this is bad and should be removed. It's more complicated. But anyway,
are you stalking me, by the way? I just purchased Jenga recently for my children and I, and we've played many games, and it's very beloved in our house. We do enjoy, the kids enjoy me, like I really ham it up, and very like lay on the melodrama very thick, and like when they'll be like reaching for a piece, and I'll like lean right up to their ear and be like, don't mess up, it's gonna fall, watch out. And like the other one, they just get a kick out of it, and it's I always knock it over though.
Dad of the year, folks.
I'm bad.
Dad of the fucking year. Oh, that's so sweet though. That's cool. Okay, so anyway, speaking of slice of life stuff, let's move on to what happens after the credits. Well, there's a segment for you, because we get basically what would be if AG and Ash starred in a Friends equivalent sitcom. Because that's really what it is. That's really what it is. You've got Bedhead Ash after, all the shit that happened, in the hotel with Kippard. And he's like, I'm not waking up. And Eiji's trying to get him up. For some reason, by the way, during this scene, both of them are wearing shirts that have what look like Furbies on the back. They are, aren't they? Or is it possibly a reference to the Gremlins thing that they say?
Oh, maybe so. Maybe it is Gizmo.
Like, guys, people in the chat, if you can illuminate what on earth that thing was on Eiji's shirt, please let me know. I would be very curious. So anyway, much hilarity ensues, including, the unfortunately missed opportunity of Eiji, reading the newspaper, smoking a pipe, wearing a, knitted jumper. It's just honestly, this whole scene, it was great. I really enjoy these interactions between these two. But all I could keep thinking was, there's not enough studio laugh tracks in here.
Yeah.
There really isn't.
Eiji really would make a good partner for someone. So thoughtful.
Well, for someone, you know exactly who we're thinking of.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
So it is Furbies.
Yeah.
It's pretty rough, but it's very endearing. Yeah, I did enjoy him getting thrown in the shower, and also not remembering he's the person that ate the salad.
Yeah, avocado as well in that salad. I mean,
those goddamn millennials.
Yeah, we were both thinking the same thing. I also really enjoyed Ash reading the newspaper, the most boring, uneventful newspaper ever.
Yeah,
which is I appreciate them not doing the Lorem Ipsum thing, but I just couldn't help but chuckle at "I'm looking for a dog." This is the Wall Street Journal, if I remember correctly. It's not like a random paper. It's a big, fucking deal. And the most we've got is can I have a dog, please? I'm like, this is 2012. Put something on Facebook.
It's changed since the 80s. This is still the 80s depiction of the paper, apparently.
God, I wish the news was that plain and boring, to be quite honest. Anyway. Fair enough. This was all very lovely. I wanted some nice royalty-free acoustic guitar music kind of playing in the background, and like you said, laugh tracks. C should go away with the Seinfeld bass line. It would be great.
Shrimp and avocado should still be popular now because it's delicious.
This is true.
It's a delicious fajita choice, in my opinion. What happened to the dog?
Wait. We mentioned Elfin Leap before. Do you reckon the ad was from Mayu or whatever her name was?
Jesus Christ. Yes. Yes. Had to be. Had to be
all
her.
All makes sense. The connected universe.
That's
the
right.
anime cinematic universe. There you go.
The Warui Deshou extended universe of bullshit.
Oh, we need to look up that thing from Vargel again, where we basically linked together every single show we'd ever watched.
That was such funny. Much laughter.
Okay. So Max and eBay arrive, and when they arrived, I really wish there was a studio, woohoo! Or applause, perhaps. I don't know. That'd have been well. So eBay's I've been worried to death. And I'm like, poor eBay. He's gonna have no hair left by the end of this. If he has kids of his own, he's never gonna let them leave the house or even the same room that he's in. No. Because he's just traumatized from dealing with this experience of Eiji going off and doing his thing. Anyway, Max takes Ash aside, and they have a discussion in a cafe in which they also see on Expedition News Network that Colonel Hallstock died in the crash. And Ash is like, wait a minute, Kipper died, Hallstock died. Something suspect here.
Yeah.
If he had a beard, he'd be stroking it.
What was the news channel? What was it called? Expedition?
No, I said Exposition News Network, but it's actually SNBC.
What? Wait a minute. So what was the? That's different to the one that's been before. What was
that? Was abs.
The abs. Right. Yeah. Okay. So this is the alternate choice.
Yeah.
They live in a land of many cable options.
What are we gonna get next? Doc's News or something like that.
It would be Doc's News. Yes.
It really would.
FUX. That's
none to be given. There you go.
Exactly. Yep. Okay.
So,
serious parts.
Max and Ash go to the abandoned building that was opposite the hotel where Kipper was assassinated. Because Ash's already figured out where the bullet was shot from, and he explains to Max like, "Bro, who could have done this?" And we find the fucking calling card. And
yeah,
I mean,
I'm gonna look this up right now.
I thought Blanca was like, already a bit film noirish maybe, but this is just like he literally left the book behind as a memento, like as a warning more than anything. But
yeah.
I like to imagine that if he did still do assassinations, or when he was doing them prior to going to the Caribbean, that he just left books behind everywhere. Like, if he fucking
right.
shot someone through a window, he'd leave behind how to DIY for dummies, just so people knew how to.
It just is cryptic clues for everyone.
Yeah, just to be polite.
Yeah.
But anyway, Blanca's already figured out pretty much everything at this point. There's some discussion, by the way, between a goon in the White House about the Foundation, how Golzine is now pretty much in charge of it. Mentions someone named Your Excellency.
Right.
We'll find out about that later.
Okay, I found on your favorite website and mine, Amazon, a book cover for Islands in the Stream. Does this look like the one that they were I posted it in the chat? I can't remember if it's exactly like that. That's the closest one I could find.
That is actually very close, come to think of it.
I feel like the author's name was across the top, though, unlike this one.
Similar color, though.
Yeah. I just wanted to know if they modeled it after the real book cover.
So anyway, Blanca is indeed all over Ash at this point. He knows where the hideout is that they purchased much earlier. He's actually been watching him through a camera, which he passes to Golzine, who he's taking with him. Luke Young arrives, so he basically got the Sinister Six piece up of this particular show, all the supervillains gathering together for the plan. And the plan then gets underway because Ash, despite having seen someone be sniped, from a window, decides, okay, I'll let AG be close to windows. Nothing could possibly go wrong. Oh my god, he got shot in the arm! Yeah.
Suddenly.
So he's only grazed.
I think he didn't want him. Didn't he not want him near it though? I mean, he's standing right there, looking out because he feels like he's safe, but he didn't want AG to come in the room. Did I read that wrong?
I think he was already there.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
I thought he just walked in and then got blasted as soon as he walked in, but or maybe got up or something like that. Anyway,
it doesn't really matter.
Anyway,
so anyway, while they're tending to AG's wounds, he's only been grazed, so he's not in dying straits. If anything, that's intentional, I would argue, because it's a warning shot. Ash gets a phone call. Blanca says, "Hello, little kid, how have you been doing?" And then we have some banter between two. They're passing the phone around to Luke Young. Everyone's taking a chance to have a word with him, say how he's doing. And basically, Blanca's going to kill the fuck out of AJ unless they go to, negotiations at 9 tomorrow night, here, Warehouse 8, Pier 12, 24 degrees, mildly sunny, chance of rain, who the fuck knows. But yeah, Ash at this point knows he's boned. We have a very brief flashback to when he was younger, which references where the book came from, because Blanca was reading it, and in turn said to Ash, you read this when you're a little bit older. And he's thinking, why after all this time? We get a really long conversation, which I really enjoy, between AG and Ash, in which Ash says, can I come to Japan? Which I want to see it happen. But
that's him.
I'm a cynic.
That's him putting in his retirement notice. No.
Yep.
And what's going to happen before he retires?
Yep. AG also mentions that there are various features of Japan, the more boring stuff like cars, but he also brings up the fact that there are 8 million gods there, including the toilet one. I didn't realize the toilet god was a thing. Well, they've got it must be for everything. We've got the
how do you think that they came up with the design for the brawny man? It didn't just come out of nowhere. He's the toilet god.
Yeah, this is true. So I like how this has been developing with their relationship, by the way, and that for, I've made jokes about AG not going back to Japan, but they've kind of had different things going on where Ash originally was like, you're going, and fuck what you say, I want you out of the country. And he's like, no, stay with me. And now he wants to come back. So we've actually had a quite interesting progression there of Ash's thoughts on how close, his relationship with AG, like, okay, no, you're staying with me, but no, you need to be back where you belong. And I reckon I would be best leaving this place, which I don't blame him, to be quite honest.
I mean, he really has lost everything, right? I mean, his brother, his gang is in disarray. His shorter, other people that cared about, like, I feel like have either died or betrayed him. Yeah, I mean, Max is there, but he's not going to stay in the country for Max.
No.
So yeah, I think everything holding him down would leave when AG leaves. So yeah, that would make sense for him to go. I feel like, at least for a while. Yeah.
Sorry, you're right, Sulabel. I got it wrong way around because that's something that happens later with Ash specifically asking eBay to take Japan. But you're right, it's actually AG who does bring it up, which is, I still like where that progresses though, and
it's a really well written conversation. I feel just small things about it, like in the beginning, you kind of see Ash being really on edge because he's like, what would I even do? And AG's like, you could be a model. They would love you there. And he's like, it's not as easy. It's much tougher than being in child pornography. And then AG's like, oh.
Yeah.
Fuck. I'm sorry. And Ash is like, oh, fuck. What am I even talking about?
Yeah.
I didn't mean to say
he's
that.
On it. He's on edge. Yeah.
He's so, but yeah. It
he's
just
already
felt...
possibly got an idea of what's going to happen next and what it might mean for down Blanca's back.
It felt so realistic, him being snappy and dwelling on that darkness. But then he's just like, oh, no. Tell me more about Japan.
Slip of the tongue.
Yeah.
It was quite good. So the following day, AG wakes up. He has got a fever from the bullet. I didn't realize that could happen, but hey, fair enough. And Ash is saying, like, don't worry about it, everything will be fine. And AG knows that he's lying. That's how close they are now, that he can realize that he's just that calm. He's not got a great poker face. So he prays to God to look after Ash. I hope it's not the toilet god. Just saying.
No, he went straight to Kami, and he didn't address the brawny man.
Indeed. And then we cut to Ash arriving at the warehouse, and this is where, like...
Oh, boy.
Whew, holy shit. So, here's the thing, right, about Banana Fish as a recent episode. They've been good, but I kind of still want to have that same reaction or that same feeling I had when I saw what happened with Shorter.
Right.
Which was basically me saying that I'm a masochist because I love, like, emotionally...
Hurt me
and
shows.
And hurtful, material.
Yeah.
But that's because it drives a reaction from me, a genuine emotional reaction. So when Ash arrives, he's obviously, cornered by a number of goons with guns. We've got, Luke Young, we've got Blanca, we've got Golzine. They're all there, twirling their, evil mustaches. And Luke Young comes up to him and says, right, here's the deal. I'm going to give you this gun. And if you shoot yourself in the head, not a hair on AG's head will be harmed. He'll be safe. Simple as that. Just it's as easy as that. And would you fucking believe it? It really is as simple as that, because in a way that would be comedic if it was done in other contexts because of how quick it happens. Ash takes the gun. Now, the gun was empty because Luke miscalculated and he didn't believe, because I think that's part of his character, actually, which I really appreciate his insights in as well. He doesn't believe that people can be that close. This is related to what I said previously about how Luke and Ash are kind of similar people, but they have different perspectives. And Luke Young, like, he doesn't feel that people can be connected in such a way. Why else is he using Banana Fish to control people? So there you go. But this... Holy shit, this took my breath away. And I have to give absolute credit here firstly to the direction of this because of how quickly it was edited and actioned.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, you're translating from manga here, so I don't.
The
So I don't know what the
direction
panel.
was
Yeah,
so good.
it was fucking phenomenal. I don't know what it looks like in the manga, admittedly, but I can imagine it was probably, you know, panel of gun in hand to panel of gun at head, click, gone. That's how I can envision it anyway.
And then it just cut to like Dino's face, and Dino looked genuinely sad, and Blanca looked like deeply hurt and upset, and Lung was so surprised and just taken aback. And AG cuts back to him. It's like, hey, no bullet. Like, oh my god,
no. But I was
just
like, no bullets. The fuck are you asking? No, but
it happens so fast. That,
but
yeah,
I mean, I
got up out of my seat, and it's the first time the show has made me do that in a couple months since the very early bits.
I mean, also due credit to Ash's voice actor when he says, I mean, it's a line that seems comical, but when he says to Young, like, there aren't any bullets in this, can you give me some bullets? He says it in the plainest way, like, oh, well, there aren't any bullets there. Can I have some bullets? He says it in the way as if he was ordering a fucking coffee at Starbucks.
Mm-hmm.
So due credit to him as well for pulling off that with the
so
deadpan nature it deserved.
It is so sad and so fucking gangster. Like Tulu Bell mentioned, like it's... Man, there's just a lot going on there. There's a lot. And we can talk about it later.
Oh, boy. Boy, oh, boy. Luke Young himself reacts to it like, why? Why him?
That was
Why
awesome.
would you do this?
Awesome.
Yeah. Maybe Dark Side of the Moon might potentially do heel turn before this is over. I wonder. I wonder.
Could do.
But
it will be a babyface turn.
Quite
just a minor point of contention from me, wrestling fan, right? Because heel turn is a phrase, genesis of which came from the pro wrestling business. When a character would make a heel turn, it's not so much they're turning on their heel to be an about face, it's that they're becoming a bad guy character. So if he makes a turn to the other side, it will be a face turn, a baby face, or becoming a good guy. So just a clerical point that needed to be made. Now we can move on.
Thank you, the Sussel wrestler.
Oh,
thank you, great guy.
Just subtle over here, very subtle, making the subtlest points. All for those uneducated fans that don't know the business,
Anyway, now that we've exercised the spirit of Hulk Hogan, who appears to be possessing the body of my friend here. Speaking of subtlety,
that was the Macho Man.
This is well, I stand by my statement.
Oh yeah, don't you know the difference between me and that piece of garbage?
No. Anyway, back to the show. One thing I want to know, by the way, just on terms of subtlety, is that Luke Young is wearing an earring that's shaped like a crescent moon. And I'm like, I see what you did there. I see what you did. So, well, in true Darth Vader fashion, you know, he's altering the deal. He's going to alter it further. Which is to say that simply it's going to be this. You're going to return every single file on Banana Fish. Dr. Dawson needs to come back as well. And you're going to be Dino's bitch again. And if you do that, AG lives.
Well, hey, at least Dino's not saying he's going to draw and quarter him like before. You know, he's like, Arthur, cut all his limbs off and cauterize them, but give me his body. And I will kill him. At least, you know, it seems like it's sort of maybe more favorable terms. I don't really know if that's accurate, but maybe you'd want to be drawn and quartered instead of being, quote unquote, the lowest prostitute, doing things that none of the others could bear, etc., etc.
So yes, I mean, I've personally thought that Ash probably could have got away with it okay if it was like, okay, Banana Fish files, fair. Dawson, one life versus another, but I think I would probably still argue in favour of AG because anyway. But the last bit, that was a reminder of Golzi's nature and how he treats Ash, and it will be relevant when we get to the scene in which Ash and Blanca are alone in just a short while. But that's the deal, and just as calmly as he took the gun and tried to shoot himself, Ash is like, sure. By your sign, I'll do it.
Another, like, psychic punch to Yut Lung, because you could just see him, like, reacting like he'd been, you know, clocked. I can't believe you're willing to sacrifice everything for this person. What is the matter with you?
Indeed. So, after all that, everyone moves to leave, apart from Ash, who's just staying there in the warehouse, and he says, no, Blanca, round 1, fight!
Yeah, it really is that.
And after some discussion in which Golzi's like, you know, go on then, you can fight back if you want, just don't rush him up too much because I want to have my fun with him at a lace point. Blanca and Ash fight, and Blanca utterly dismantles him. It's not even funny how easy he makes it look.
He cuts him on the neck from like the side of his hand. I mean, I don't know if it's like a fingernail thing or if it's a, you know, my hand moving through air has like the force of the force of which will cut flesh.
Indeed.
That's probably that. It's probably not a fingernail thing.
Yeah. Keep in mind what I said there about like it was nothing, because that's half joke and half actual observation and criticism as well. But we'll get to that later. So Ash gets knocked down by a blow to his to his vital area, wins him, knocks him down. Blanca spends some time alone with him. Then the rest of everyone else leaves. And
that's a lot of trust they're putting in this guy. You know, Yut Lung, I think, was right to be cautious in that instance.
And Ash and Blanca have a discussion about the idea of roles that they have to play. And Blanca's probing him like, you know, you'll have all these things. You'll have wealth, you'll have power, etc., etc. He then leaves by thinking in his head without saying aloud that he will pray for him whatever the outcome is of what Ash does next. And after all that wraps up, after that elongated discussion, there's a couple of flashbacks. By the way, nice use of different tones here as well to show that they are flashbacks. Because I think there was like more pastel colours, maybe a bit more sepia. I don't know how it was done or the term for it, but the tones of the colour gradients on here were different. So I really like that. Ash has been making plans of his own, but they're not the plans that you might otherwise think for him, where he's obviously got some scheme in mind to win. He's got a scheme in mind to give up.
For now. My suspicion is that this is him lying a bear trap down, so to speak.
I'm not so sure. I don't get that impression.
I think he'll retake the information and the people in his.
I think he will, but I don't think it's something that he will plan for. I think it's something that will trigger him to do that. Something that will bring the fight back into him and make him do that.
Okay.
But in the end, he does indeed get the banana fish documents back from Max and his reporter colleague. I don't remember his name. Was it Charlie? Yeah, whoever it was. Dawson is also taken as well. And Ash does indeed meet Young, Golzine, and Blanca at the pier, as promised, hands over everything, including himself. Eiji, wakes up and leaves the he leaves the hotel, try and find him, but his gang stops him. That's the episode.
Islands in the stream, Shadon.
Mm-hmm.
Islands in the stream.
Mm-hmm.
Really, Jalulabel says, did you not see his face in that last shot? That was a broken man.
That would be Ash,
yeah. So, yes, I mean, I thought, all throughout the episode, there were some really good facial expression-y moments of, you know what, here, I'll go ahead and hit the sounder so we can get into this officially.
Talking points.
There were a lot of really great facial expressions of Ash being broken. I mean, even the silliness in the first bit, right, of Ash being, you can't wake him up, throw him in the shower, or turn the water on it, like, haha, like, if you think about it, I mean, that level of fatigue is of a piece with everything else. Like, he's so tired because there's so much on him mentally and emotionally. He's bearing so much in terms of these burdens, and there's so much responsibility on him that, like, they play it for laughs, but I think viewed in another light, it's pretty sad. And then, yeah, there's that one scene where Ash calls himself, it was right after AG gets sniped, and he says, "I'm no match for this person." And sort of you see this, the way that they draw his face. I mean, he really looks heartbroken and forlorn, like he's at the end of his rope. And yeah, I mean, that stuff is present in those last scenes, but if he didn't have a plan to get out of it, this is pivoting from my talking point of, wow, there's a lot of really good facial expressions of Ash looking tired and defeated and beaten. Pivoting to what Tallulah said and what you said here, like, why would he tell eBay, make plans to get me to Japan or whatever, if there was not, like, a second part of the plan post capture?
Maybe he didn't mean that when I say didn't mean that. The thing that immediately springs to mind is, funnily enough, of Mice and Men, which is when Lenny dies. George is telling him, what think of the farm?
Why you got to bring Steinbeck into this? God damn it!
I know. I'm surprised I haven't referenced Steinbeck yet. But my point is that maybe he was telling eBay that as a lie, just to reassure him that he had a plan in mind when he really didn't. Because obviously eBay otherwise would be worried sick about it.
Do you? Let me ask. This is going to sound like I'm dragging the show, but I'm really just asking an honest question. Do you think that the show so far has shown itself to be working with that kind of tool set, that kind of subtlety?
I would say so, to be honest.
Okay.
I would say it's capable of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I genuinely think that Ash has given up. The fact that he's given up is a problem in itself, in my opinion, which I'll get to with my talking point, which admittedly is also a repeat of what I said last week, but I've had more confirmation of it.
Well, if that's the case, right? If that's the case, how to articulate what I'm trying to say here? If he has given up, then I guess going forward, what you say is very plausible here, that he'll be spurred into action of necessity because someone will do something to AG anyway, and
bear in mind his name, Dawn. Bear in mind the very common phrase that goes with that, darkest before.
I thought you were going to say scrubs dishes clean 100%.
No.
Blue
this
Dawn.
is the thing, like, it's a dramatic art thing. It's the lowest point. It fits thematically with, the sun-moon elements that are going in the show here. It makes sense. But something needs to spur him into action, and I reckon that'll be AJ. And I don't know how he'll do it, but something's got to happen to bring him back. I don't think it's going to be of Ash's own volition. I think as far as he's concerned, if he was just simply Dino's fucking pet at this point, if it kept AG safe, they'd do that.
I know that...
But something's got to change his mind.
I know that people in the chat have the advantage over me of knowing how the story ends, but... I don't know, understanding, to me, the Ash character, right, has always been this character that is 4 steps ahead of everyone because he's so smart. And, like, yes, like, he's always, I mean, he's an emotional person. I mean, I remember seeing him in some pretty dire emotional states.
Sure.
Around killing Arthur. But he still never kind of didn't have a plan. At the very least, is always so super resourceful and reactive to things happening around him.
You're touching on the long-standing problem I have.
This is just why I feel like, I think both can be true, Red. I mean, he can feel resigned in that, he has no way out of this situation except by, at least on the surface, like meeting their demands. And that's going to be painful for some people. I mean, at least Max, I don't know, I'm kind of with Max's partner, like, what the fuck, dude? We're working on this story, this is going to be huge. Like, we are about to expose a multinational, like,
I'm
conspiracy and shit. And he's just like, go, son,
that they did not
save your friend.
I am so genuinely surprised, by the way, that Max and his partner hadn't photocopied the fuck out of that report.
I mean, come on.
Like, egg on Ash's face. It turned out, oh, whoops, there's a thing on the cloud.
There's a digital copy. Yes.
It's on the cloud. Yeah, it's fine.
Frugal drive.
Here's the thing, Doc. The thing that you're saying about Ash being 4 steps ahead, that's not a good thing for the show, as I've said before. It's a problem with making him too good. This is also why Blanca now exists as a character who was previously not foreshadowed.
Can I say, I'm gonna hit the sounder before you talk, but just to end what I was saying, is that I think on a certain level, I agree, and I'm realizing that you can make a character. It's sort of the Superman problem, right? I mean, he's so good that I never feel like he's in danger, and that's really
there you go.
Yeah. Well, and AG is a kryptonite, but you always, I don't know.
Blanca is a kryptonite.
Oh, Blanca. Well, but I always feel, I guess that at this point in the show, AG has shown himself able to get out of, like, so many scrapes, so many mazes.
Really? And that was the one, though. That was the one time he pulled those. I don't recall any other times that he's really...
I'm sorry, not AG. I'm talking about Ash. Fuck. God damn it.
All right.
Fuck me. I'm sorry. All right, let me start over to make this 100% clear. Ash being so smart and resourceful and getting out of all these scrapes and seemingly intractable situations has, I think, throughout the show, and I haven't realized it to the degree I realize it now, and that's a really weird way of saying it. I'm realizing it now very strongly that, like, I don't really feel like his character is at risk. Like, I'm not feeling the, like, emotional danger. I mean, those first episodes felt so fucking dangerous. I mean, people were dying, things were happening, the chessboard pieces were moving around, and
everyone felt more
on the run. Yeah, everyone really did feel at risk. And, we've gotten to this point where that's really not the case so much, and I think that might be to the show's detriment, to the story's detriment.
Well, this is the point I made. Ash is OP, and it's a problem for the show. It's so much of a problem that they had to invent a character, at least from my perspective, to, put the fear in him. When otherwise, all of the things that Ash does in this episode at the end, which is, give over the dossier, give over Dawson, and give himself over. There'd have been no reason for him to do that, or nothing that could have coerced him to do that otherwise. Not a thing. Then Blanca comes in and suddenly shits his pants.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
I don't buy it. But what I'm saying about the subtlety thing, though, is that I do think that as far as Ash as a character, as an emotional person goes, while his skills and his talents are implausible and detrimental to the show, I think the reason I still like him, as opposed to other protagonists I've seen in anime shows who are just brilliant, is because he is a relatable, likable individual who has a genuine goal that I want to get behind, which is his own freedom.
Yeah.
And, him becoming a whole person.
And he's not a fucking, like, smug sociopath like so many geniuses portrayed in Western television, like goddamn House and Sherlock and all these people based off of that Holmes kind of character. Like, I mean, Ash is smart, but he's still, like you said, warm and human and funny and not a robot and not super. Yes, not a smug asshole.
Yeah, so. Indeed, Ash's conflicts, and it's been established a couple of times now, is that he has only ever known killing. Indeed, it's mentioned in this episode. Like, what will I do? I've only ever killed.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's
no
about
guns
him
in
finding
Japan.
As I said before, it's about him finding that normality. It's not necessarily about being normal, but I think that everyone wants normality in their lives. I speak for myself that I would give nothing more than to have a home, to have a wife, to have 1, 2, maybe 3 kids bouncing around doing their stupid shit, whatever they want to do. Normality. And that's the thing he doesn't currently have because of this situation. So that's why I still root for him and still get behind him, despite the fact that there is no actual tension or fear for his life.
Yeah.
I still want him to have that. But I'm also not going to deny that, his ability, his overpoweredness, and then Blanca's introduction doesn't ring a bit hollow to me. Because it does. It really does. Speaking of which, let's talk about Blanca. All right. Here's the thing, right? I'm going to speculate here, and if I am wrong, please do call me out on this, because I do like to be called out wrong. I'm not going to pretend, that I know best or that I am the arbiter of all knowledge.
Let me just settle the dispute right now. He is a charge character.
Fair point. Thank you.
Charge partitioning is bullshit. So
thank you. Well, there you go.
Don't play him.
And that's the end of this stream of thought. Thank you much, everyone, for listening. Good night. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so I had previously said when we first introduced Blanca that I was not particularly optimistic about the portrayal of his character. Because I feared, and I'm getting more and more confirmation of this, that his character is essentially something that was written as a response to Ash being that good. Like, the writers kind of took a step back and like, oh shit, he's too good. We've got to do... This is the guy who trained him, and he's better than him in every way. There we go, done. Off to the pub. That's how it goes. So my speculation is this. I, again, have not read the manga, and I'm also not privy to the knowledge of its schedule for release when it first came out, or even what magazine it came out in. But I would like, or rather, I'd imagine it works something like this, in that the person writing it, they had the idea of the long-term plot. Like, I mean, we all know Golzi's going to die, and that's obviously been determined ahead of time. But every step of the journey was not necessarily mapped out in advance. Certain broad strokes were there, certain things were not. And so as the manga progressed, part of me thinks it was kind of a recursive thing, where they were like, wait a minute, this character, our main character, is too good, I need to dial it back. And it would make sense then for Blanca to appear, because it's one of those things where it's being written as it goes along. Now, I have said before that I generally am against the idea of making shit up as you go along. I mean, I said that about Franks. I'm more willing to accept it in the case of a manga because that's the function of the material. I mean, if you were to tell me, for example, that JoJo's, part 3 was in any way foreshadowed by part 2 or even part 1, I would say that you're chatting out your backside. Clearly, things like, for me, when we've got to kill Dio in part 3, but the bits between leaving to go kill Dio and at the end, when you do actually kill him, when Joestar offers him, probably weren't something that Araki had ever, absolutely sketched out to the last detail. So I'm more okay in this case, because it's more of a continual process rather than, a whole show conceived from full cloth. But that being said, Blanca, if I was to use the red letter medium method of describing him, which is to say, describe the person without describing their role, their appearance, etc., basically someone who's never seen before, I would have very little to tell you, because he is not, in my opinion, a character. We made the Superman comparison before. If he was a Superman thing, he would be kryptonite. He is a plot device used to push Ash to action that otherwise would not happen were he not there. Blanca, to my memory, and if I'm wrong on this, was not foreshadowed in the run-up to his reveal. He is, funnily enough, people are going to hate me for this, but it's a true comparison. He reminds me of Sarah Kerrigan, the Klaxor princess from Franks.
You stop.
No, it's true. No, it's true. Am I wrong, though? Because he similarly was introduced late hour. Now, granted, Klaxor princess character came about for no fucking good reason whatsoever. At least I can point to Blanca and say, this way because of this thing. But surely there was a better way of doing this. And then...
Yeah, I mean, he's got more utility than her already. Like, he's got more usefulness in his pinky finger than Sarah Kerrigan had.
This is very true.
You know, I mean, he provides a conduit to, like, flashbacks, and also has... I'm not really sure what other way we get this conversation with Ash here at the end that we get that I think is actually really illuminating and interesting, but at the same time, you know, if you're running a cost-benefit analysis, like, I don't know that that's enough to, like, justify the existence of this OP, you know, new character. And it's just probably for the reasons that you mentioned. Also, to answer your first... the first question you asked about the publication, so it was, I just looked it up while we were talking because I couldn't remember offhand, but Banana Fish ran from 85 to 94 in Shoujo Comic.
That explains it.
And it was published twice monthly, so on a, I guess, bi-weekly schedule, which is, you know, the manga I'm used to consuming is either weekly or monthly, so that's an interesting kind of format. I don't know. I can't. I mean, I guess for any artist getting, like, churning stuff out on a schedule, you're gonna have some crunch no matter what. So and I'll at least concede that they are addressing, you know, the fact that Ash is OP by having this thing happen. I mean, it is at least moving the plot forward, so I'll accept that. But I just am of the opinion that it could have been done better. And I want to talk very briefly about the conversation between Blanca and Ash in this particular warehouse, because it's also endemic of another problem I had, which is, unfortunately, as I said in the previous stream before, the Goldstein as a rapist makes him a bad villain. And I'm not talking bad as in, you know, we don't like him, because of course we don't fucking like him. I hope Ash spends the entirety of the final episode just caving his head in inside a car door. If it's 24 minutes, literally, of him just banging that car door and smashing his head into pulp, I would watch that, give it 10 out of 10. But here's the thing, right? Blanca and Ash have a discussion, and I have to say, firstly, this discussion was very workmanlike. It didn't feel like there was a personal connection between these two characters. That's a really good way to put it.
Yeah. I honestly did not feel like... I mean, okay, Goldstein and Ash have a personal connection, quote-unquote, but that was because he's basically violated. And also, in some ways, has served as a... I'm not saying this is a good one, but I'm saying he served as a father figure of sorts. Big air quotes there. So there is certainly a link, you know, a relationship between the two. With Blanca, like, even though we had that flashback, I have nothing to go on. Like, how does Ash feel towards him as a person? Does he react, for example, to the fact that Blanca might not have, you know, for a start, wanted to molest him at any point? Does that not strike him as something that might be a positive attribute to this person relative to that person, maybe? I got nothing. So, first off, that already primed me not really to care about this conversation, but the content that followed is not so much Blanca's fault, but it's Goldstein's fault, or rather his construction as a character. Because Blanca's saying to him, if you went back and played that role, you'd be wealthy, you'd have power. And all I can hear you thinking is, Blanca, you're not addressing the elephant in the room here, which is that you're basically saying that Ash should be Goldstein's sex toy.
Well, they talk around it.
But that's the thing, they should be talking about it, though. Because they certainly do talk about it in previous ones.
Right.
But the reason he can't say it out loud is because then all of his arguments would be absurd.
Yeah.
You can't say... you can't say it.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
Because it immediately exposes that there is no argument here.
No. I mean, it's not certainly as far as I'm concerned. I mean, it's like I was telling you off stream. I mean, Blanca's kind of worldview is certainly askew in his prioritization of, you know, of wealth and comfort over other things.
But he doesn't even bring that up, though. That's the problem.
But, like, you would suspect that anyway, you know, because he's a contract killer. He's not going to be a well-adjusted person. But yeah, I mean, I think, like, yeah, he's totally indirect about the other stuff. I think he just wants to
I don't even think indirect. I think it just simply is not something. I think it's simply that if Blanca even talks about it indirectly, it would reveal all his arguments to be hollow. Because I could keep thinking.
Well, when Ash says, "Do you know I'd be a fake?" You're asking me to pretend, and I think that is him asking. That is him bringing up. Okay, like yes, I would be in a life of comfort and wealth, but I would be a slave, I would be abused, and you're asking me to play this role of pet and pretend that other stuff is not happening to me. And Blanca is like, yes. Like,
I disagree because here's the thing, right? We know that as background detail, but the characters really need to talk about it, especially given that this is the first time we've seen Blanca. And the first time he's had an actual talk.
Well, this is dialogue.
Need to have this.
Well, you got it. So this is dialogue written by a Japanese person, and I think there's an indirect nature to conversation, and so it doesn't surprise me that it is talked around and they're not as open and frank in their discussion with each other about it as you would want them to be.
I suppose. I mean, if it is a cultural thing, fine. But I can only speak to my reaction here, which is that as Blanca was telling all this, Ash, all I kept coming back to in my head was, Galzine rapes him, so this is moot. This discussion is irrelevant. I don't care if Blanca said that he would literally be the fucking president of the United States and he could have anything he ever wanted. He could rule the whole fucking earth.
Let me ask you, what do you think Blanca meant when he said, "I'm asking you to pretend"?
To pretend to be his protege, to be happy. Because the thing is, right, when you said about fakes there, if in a different version of Banana Fish, just to speculate here, Ash had never been raped by Galzine, the conversation could remain exactly as is between these two characters. Because...
Well, I disagree. I think that the first part where he says, "I thought that you'd gotten over your past already," I think that line hinges upon Ash's backstory being the way it is. I don't think you could. I don't think you could. So. I don't think you could use it and be it anywhere near as powerful without Ash being that kind of victim.
Yes, but you could still have it mean something if Ash was simply just Galzine's contract killer / protege. Because it would still tie in with the themes we've had of him not being a
but you wouldn't need to. But then he wouldn't be talking about getting over anything because he'd still be expected to be a contract killer today.
That could still be a problem though. Maybe he doesn't want to do that anymore. I mean, he's clearly shown that he wants, although he can't understand it necessarily in concrete terms, he doesn't want to have this life.
No, but Blanca
That's why he's going to Japan.
But Blanca is saying, "I thought you had gotten over your past," as in, I thought you were happy working for the Monsieur. And everything was fine. Like if what he meant by that is I thought you had gotten over being a contract killer, then it wouldn't make any sense for Blanca to say that.
Because maybe the thing is, being a contract killer is not something maybe Ash is happy about though. Like there are still ways this could have been written in which he wouldn't have been happy with the scenario without that happening. But I am of the opinion the exact words said here, because they don't actually discuss it outright, even though Galzine makes very clear mention, "You will be the lowest prostitute, you will be my toy."
Yeah, I mean, he totally, he knows.
Yeah. So the fact they don't discuss it, to me, says you could simply, change Ash's backstory and it wouldn't matter in the context of this conversation. And that's what bothers me, because I keep running into that in my head. And as has been said before, the reaction is you're not meant to be happy with it. You're meant to be disgusted that this is going to happen to Ash again.
Yeah, sure.
And that's fine. But it then defeats the point of this whole 3-minute long conversation, however long it is, between Ash and Blanca, when Blanca's like, "No, go back to your own." Like, no. He's going to be fucking raped by Galzine every day that he lives. There is no debate or discussion here. This is perfunctory and pointless.
Yeah. At
least for me, the audience member.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he clearly... Yeah, I mean, Blanca clearly sees it as, like, the equivalent, I think, of... Well, maybe clearly sees it is not the right way to say this, because maybe he doesn't. What if... I mean, Blanca just sort of sees it as the equivalent of, like, an unhappy home life. You know what I mean? Like put up... you know, put up with the wife or the marriage that you don't like, put up with the sexual sort of association, this baggage part, in order that you can live well and comfortably. And I think part of why he's kind of urging him to do it is because Blanca himself couldn't do it, you know? Like Ash said, like, well, what about you? Like, you fucking, like, you left, you retired, you went to the Caribbean. You couldn't pretend, and Blanca has no answer. Obviously, he couldn't.
The thing is, the problem is, though, I don't know who the fuck Blanca is, or what his perspective, what's made him have this worldview. I don't know jack shit. The lines that you just said that he could pitch would have actually, funnily enough, come better from Max, of all people, because he did have a broken home life with his wife and his son. And maybe, you know, that would have been analogous then, like, you know, I should stay with my wife even though I don't love her, because it's benefit for my kid. That's a broad, like, that's me making shit up there, but I'm just saying that this character who's come basically out of the fucking nowhere is trying to make this argument, and for me, the audience member, he's not addressing the key issue here, and it's stopping me from caring about the conversation they're having, because it always comes back to that one point.
But does he have to address it? I mean...
Yes, because it's been such a big part of Ash's life.
Well, but he's saying ignore it. Can't it encompass everything? Like, does he have to say out loud, like, you know, this kind of abuse and this kind of rape and this kind of penetration? Like, he's just telling him, like, ignore it. Like, I mean, I think Tulubel is right when they say, like, Blanca's just saying whatever you have to put up with Golzine is worth it, because you'll eventually be in power, and that'll be that. And your life will be, like, a good life. Just fucking pretend. Just ignore it. Just play the role you've got to play for now. I mean, I really don't think it does the show service to dance around that. Like, as I said before, you can't treat rape lightly. And I think Banana Fish has done that a little bit with how it's done with Golzine. I said that in the previous episode. It doesn't make him a complex villain to have him out and out just simply be a fucking paedophile from day one. Like, that's what I kept bumping into when this conversation was happening. I can only speak to my reaction here, which is, I don't fucking care what you say, Blanca, or what you're trying to pitch here. End of the day, he's a fucking child rapist. Well, I agree. I mean, I think we all agree on that, and I think the audience is, like, probably supposed to, I mean, we're supposed to think that. I just don't think it's, like, a flaw about the show, because I think being so kind of pedantic about how bad it is and what's happening, like, actually might feel like the show is talking down to you, the audience member. You know what I mean? If every episode someone was like, that's too clinical. Remember, he was raped.
No. You misunderstand. I'm not saying that it'd be that clinical. I'm talking about maybe Ash relating why he feels that way, and maybe this would tie into the other area that I've complained about, which is that they don't properly address the intimacy issues between him and AJ. It seems more symptomatic of that whole thing that doesn't, you know, it wants to talk a big game about Ash having been, you know, molested and raped at various points of his life, but isn't then willing to follow through from it either in discussion between him and AJ about it, or in this case between him and Blanca.
What did you want him to say to Blanca, I guess?
Maybe to admit, you know, say that happened to me and I don't want to go back to it, or maybe say, you know, even if I have to do that, I don't know, I want to at least to say something.
Mm-hmm. But if like you and, I don't know, you and me, or you and a good mate of yours, like, we're having a conversation and we both knew about a very traumatic and sensitive thing, it doesn't strike me as the craziest thing in the world that we wouldn't really, that there'd be an understanding between the participants. You know this happened, I know this happened. Like, sometimes even talking about something traumatic is an extra level of pain. You know what I mean? And they just might feel like they can like say what they need to say and deliver the points that they need to deliver, I guess, without bringing... I just don't think it's... It doesn't bother me, I guess, that they don't bring it up, you know?
I get you, but the thing is, you're speaking there from the perspective of someone who's actually of a character. We, the audience, need to have this stuff conveyed to us. It's not a question of what you and I might feel in terms of how painful it'd be for us in real life. This is something the show needs to communicate to us. It needs to communicate that pain, that it can afford to do so. Mm-hmm. It certainly has done, but here, much in the same way that Blanca feels crowbarred, this whole conversation between him and Ash, I feel could have been cut entirely and I'd have lost nothing. If he'd have walked out with the rest of them, I don't think I'd have gained anything or lost anything. It wouldn't have mattered. Maybe this stems more from me not caring about Blanca as a character because there's clearly very little of anything sort of personal relationship between him and Ash. But I'm just like, guys, don't half-ass talking about the rape stuff, please. Like, well, go hard in on it. Make it intimate, make it painful as it should. If Blanca is that close to Ash and has taught him that much, is there nothing more to their relationship that would demand that? I mean, like I pitched, has Blanca himself, he's either one person in Banana Fish Universe who hasn't tried to fucking just as a thought,
That's a fair question. I guess there's like a line, or not a line, but what am I trying to say? Organic dialogue and then kind of pedagogical or pedantic dialogue. Like, it's this tricky. Because where you feel like the show needs to address something, me, another viewer, I feel like, I don't know if it might feel artificial if they did so, especially, I feel like it's really tricky, and I feel like, I don't know, it felt quite natural to me that they didn't do that. And I think I disagree a little bit in terms of the personal connection between those two. I mean, like, initially when they were talking, it did sort of feel like, here's two people just kind of saying things that they need to say, but not necessarily to each other, or not necessarily like it could be to anyone. But like, I feel like that stuff at the end when Ash gets very emotional, I don't know, I kind of felt it, like, when he, talks about, I'd be fake. What would you have me do? Would you have me pretend you couldn't do it? Like, you fled. And then that whole bit where he says, I'm happy now. Like, and even if you kind of disagree with his, I guess, sort of conception of what love is or romance is, I mean, it's just him admitting he's in love and then begging Blanca not to kill him, and Blanca sort of realizing, like, the gravity of a person like Ash throwing his pride away to beg for the life of Eiji. I think that did show that, okay, that there's been a relationship here. That showed a little bit of a connection to me.
It really would have helped, though, in my opinion, if this had happened,
Oh, I don't disagree with you that it should have been freaking earlier. You're
sure.
100% right about that.
That's why I don't care. I don't know who the fuck this guy is. I don't have any understanding of how his relationship with Ash works when he was younger. Like, was it the same as Galsey? Did he rape him also? Did he not? Did he treat him differently? That could add so much dimension to it. I mean, if they'd actually talked about it, maybe that could have been a way in which they revealed that little plot point, if that such a thing as exists. But honestly, I'm so turned off by the idea of Blanca being a character because he isn't. And so, and just because he again was making that point before, as I've said, which is, here's all the things you can have. And my reaction was, well, I'm sorry, but the person who's going to be, enthralled to is a rapist. Why should I care? Like, there's no nuance to this discussion here. All the time they spend talking about it, it just keeps falling back to that one point for me, which is that Golzine is not a dimensional enough villain to justify having this long, baby come back discussion from Blanca's part. It really ain't.
How dare you?
It really fucking ain't. I mean, as I pitched before,
Baby,
if in an alternate version of Banana Fish, Golzine had never done that to Ash, but maybe he did it to others, who knows, right? But he just basically never touched it. Okay? If that happened, this might have possibly been a bit more interesting to talk about. That, okay, maybe there might be incentive for him to go back after all. Maybe it won't be so bad. But would he be true to his spirit, true to his desire to be free, true to his, going to Japan thing that was established before? All of it completely falls apart. Because I again keep thinking, I don't care what you offer. And maybe this is speaking more to myself here, but I don't care what you offer. You're going to treat me like a piece of meat. Fuck right off. You can shove that fucking offer up your ass.
Oh, 100%. 100% true.
It just didn't make me care about this conversation. I mean, it was a character I didn't care about. trying to protest or trying to preach to a character I do care about why you should go back to this other character who fucking rapes him. Like, well, I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, I think
this conversation's over.
Right. I mean, putting like yourself in the position of Ash, right, and empathizing with him, I think is right, and like how we're supposed to feel. I think what is sad and I guess makes the conversation at least interesting somewhat, I guess to me, interesting is not a great word, but meaningful, I think maybe to me, is that like this is a real option that people kind of have to choose, like change some of the details around, right? Like you could have someone saying, hey, like, lady who is my friend, just go back to him, go back into his arms, like, and yeah, he's gonna beat you sometimes, but you know what, he's gonna pay for the kids to go to college, he's gonna keep a roof over your head, he's gonna make it where you don't have to work 3 jobs, and you just put up with that shit when he hits you sometimes for the well-being of others. And people struggle and make that choice. So like people have to make really horrible choices about whether or not to continue in abusive relationships or break free, and yes, like be doing the sort of morally correct thing for themselves, but it being so fucking circumstantially hard. Like to me, that's what made the conversation meaningful. And hell yeah, like get out of there, Ash. Like don't do it. But like, what does that mean? What does that mean for him going forward? You know, that's
I think it's, you maybe realize what the weak link is. The conversation, I reckon, would have worked just fine if it had been Golzine saying it to him. Not who the fuck is this person? Not yeah. Right. Or not Blanca Slate as he is.
Hey. Wait. I have to.
Sorry, that just came to me. But
I had to give you the applause sounder. That was too good.
Yeah. I'm just saying that if Golzine had said those exact same words with probably a couple of tweaks here and there, whatever, I reckon this conversation would have had much more punch. Yeah, maybe it would have been a bit Darth Vader and Luke-ish, as you know. I think it would have still been much more, well, at first sight would have worked, as opposed to, I don't know who this person is, his argument is crap, I don't care.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I sympathize with what you're saying, the mouthpiece, yeah. I mean, it is asking, the show is asking you to care about this person all of a sudden. And you dislike characters being brought up in the third act of a show, and I mean, to a large extent, I agree with you. Yeah. I'm very, in terms of like, do I like Blanca, right? Like, I'm very conflicted because
his basic like design, I think, is cool. I mean, I wish he was actually more film noir. If he was constantly wearing a trilby, that'd be great. But like I like the basic attributes from him as presented, but the thing is, like, he's just an 11th hour introduction, in my opinion, to counterbalance the fact that Ash has been, now to this point, been presented as basically unstoppable.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the mark against it is that. I mean, on the other side, you have the interesting discussion. I mean, but maybe you could write it a different way. Maybe you could write him and Yu Lung having that discussion, though I'm not 100% sure you could, because Yu Lung doesn't know him in that way. And I don't know if Golzine and him having that discussion 100% works either, because I think you're supposed to feel like sort of that, to like Blanca, like he's coming off sympathetic. Maybe here's well, like you said, he's a person who is not abusing Ash, and he as such. Though. Well, okay, well let's assume that. Although that the way that flashback was presented with all the sparkles and shit, you never fucking know. But but like, let's say that that's the case. Then I guess you're maybe supposed to think like that he really does have Ash's best interest in mind, or at least he can make a claim to, because he's not interested in him as a sex object. But clearly his fucking argument is crap. It's garbage.
I don't know who he is or what his relationship is to Ash. Yeah. That's why this doesn't work. I don't know who he is, what their relationship was, what terms it were on. Like, we can assume, and I'd certainly like to believe that he wasn't another one in the long list of people who've had their fucking way with Ash against his will.
I'm not laughing at what you say.
No, that's fine. I know what you're laughing at, actually.
Mirror says he's my least favorite non-rapist character.
Amazing statement.
God,
right
yeah.
But, like, I don't know the terms of their relationship. There's not been... I mean, he's only been introduced in the last episode. There's not been time to establish that.
What is private opinion?
Is that the side story, I think, between...
Okay. What a fucking name. That's a fucking... That is the name of a pornographic film.
It's a name... It's a title... It's a line of thinking I wish a lot of people on Twitter would follow, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I feel like that's the title of a pornography featuring the lead actress as a judge. She's got to render her private opinion. And that way she can, slam the gavel on the desk and say, "All rise."
Okay. Just to clear my mind very quickly, like, there is still going to be time for us to find out more about, and that's fine. But I am of the opinion that even if we do get a quite nuanced look in, say, the next episode into his backstory of Ash, that it's in this late hour he'll never escape that.
That's true.
He'll never escape the late arrival, in the same way that someone who turns up late for your birthday, you don't like, they could put on a great show after the fact, but they're still late. So, man, if there was, as I say, some substance that we know about as the audience to the relationship, like something that we're told or shown at this point that can help contextualize this one way or the other, and maybe they then played into that with the reactions between the two, then I'd be much happy with it. But as it stands, that entire 3-minute conversation, I was just like, all this boils back to is Ash is going back to be, a rapist toy. So there is no debate here. There is no discussion. I don't know what the relationship is between these two characters. So all I can treat it as is a purely academic exercise, which is something I can solve in less than a second in my own head of no fucking way.
But okay. Well, two things. One, think of him. Give him the chance that you gave Haru in Persona 5. Because that...
I wasn't happy with Haru.
That is a late... I wasn't either. I thought you liked her.
I never finished the social late because she came in that late.
Yeah.
Sorry,
so late. That's like if I recall correctly, like 80 hours into the game, right? And then here's a new character. Jesus.
For context, she arrived in October. I mean, yeah, she was around before in background, but whatever, when she was actually introduced in October. The story pretty much concludes by the end of December.
Yep. Begins in March, as usual with those games. Or April. Yeah, that's a lot. I really do feel like it was between 70 and 80 hours. Anyway.
Just to tell you, Mira, right, I do like how it was presented. I just wish that she wasn't introduced that late. Her Phantom Thieves outfit is the best one. Three Musketeers all the way. She looks fantastic in it.
Makoto, though.
You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong.
About Makoto?
You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong.
Makoto is Kamen Rider, though.
This is true. This is true. Anyway, Persona 5 cast coming later, folks. Stay tuned.
I want to still put out our Persona 4 podcast.
Oh, bloody hell, some 5.5 hour...
With some editing to brand it. I feel like at this point we have to make it a Warui Deshou thing.
Yeah.
Just because our other adventure, I mean, we just don't have time to do another podcast, separate podcast feed. Okay, Makoto is best girl. Thank you to Lulabelle.
Do I sense a poll coming on?
There's not enough. There's only 4 choices though. And there's so many ladies in Persona 5 that deserve a spot for votes.
Yeah, to be fair, you wouldn't be able to put a catchy on there either. So there you go.
There you go. Yeah. And
right,
worst girl. Is it the Moon, who wears the green sneakers and who's sort of stalkery and manages the message board or whatever? I really dislike that kid.
That's not a girl. That's a guy.
Same as Akechi's not a girl. I'm doing the same thing. He's worst girl.
People ship Akechi with the protagonist.
No, I know.
Yeah, I don't. Right. Anyway.
Okay. So look. I think what you were saying is that it's a non-starter for you no matter what. But imagine that the choice really is you become a sex slave, parentheses, a wealthy, well taken care of, powerful sex slave, close parentheses, or the person you love most dies. I mean, I think it's, if the choice were put to you and not to someone else, I mean, I don't know.
I maybe haven't communicated what I'm getting across it. I mean, you don't have to try to convince me. But I'm just saying that, like, Blanca trying to say this to Ash doesn't wash. Not to mention that they never once talk about AG either. Like, as far as I'm concerned,
no, they
Blanca's
do. He says, I thought you'd gotten over your past, but then I understood what you were doing when I saw the Japanese boy.
You're right.
But don't do it. Give it up. He's a lamb. You're a lynx. You're not meant to be together, and all this shit. So that's, I guess, another. He's like, look, this is a doomed relationship anyway. Go back to security. Don't die. I mean, the choice is basically like, if he doesn't become the slave, Eiji's gonna die and he's gonna die. So Blanca, I mean, I feel like Blanca in a way is telling him like, look, I mean, this shit sucks. It's better than you dying. I don't know. I mean, it. What do you think?
I think that in the end, I've only got the reaction I went with, which was that this is moot. There's not a debate here. Like, trying to sell him on the virtues of it when that comes with it as something that you won't even talk about. I mean, if he actually explicitly said that, then that would be something, but he doesn't even bring it up. So trying to sell the rest of it when there's that incredible black mark against this whole deal doesn't work for me. I don't care. Maybe that's... Look, I think that just to cut this short, because I've probably said all I really want to on it, all I can speak to is just my reaction, which is that Blanca, you're full of shit. This discussion is moot. There's no emotional connection for me between what you're saying here with Ash, because I don't know who the fuck you are. I don't know what your relationship with him is beyond simply teaching him things. But that's not enough. So, I don't care. I mean, the thing about there being unsaid things you say there, though, is that this is a medium in which I feel like you can't leave shit like this unsaid.
But it's things we've already seen, you know what I mean? And we know about, and we know that each of them know about it.
We haven't, though, because this is not something that we know about how he and Blanca talk about it. These are, sure, they might know about the events, but how do they talk about it? How do they relate it to each other? But he's, like, literally appeared in the last episode.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, that's what you're saying is not unreasonable.
Yeah, so I'm not talking about simply knowing that the events happen, but sometimes how pairs of characters can react about the same set of events can be very different.
I just don't. But do you really think it's a crazy non-starter argument, though?
What, to say, like, go back to being raped all the time?
Or
I think the non-starter.
But the choice being like that on one side and AG dying and you dying on the other. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know.
No, the non-starter argument here, Doc, is him trying to say you'll be wealthy and powerful. when that is also a part of the package which he doesn't talk about.
I see what you mean.
Like,
so you
why,
don't think,
like,
okay, well, all right, okay. I guess you thought that the whole thing didn't make sense or was hollow or something, and yeah, I'm trying to wrap my mind around what the problem you have with it is.
If Blanca had simply said, you've got a choice, either you become Golzine's fucking rape toy or Eiji dies, I'd have been fine with it. But trying to then also sell this whole package of wealth and stuff like that without then actually addressing what will happen to him otherwise, no, sorry, but no, it's an incomplete argument, an incomplete debate, an incomplete.
If you Blanca actually cared about Ash, wouldn't that be what you tried to do?
I don't know if he does or not, though. I don't know if he does, because I don't know who the fuck he is or what his relationship is with Ash.
Well, okay, you can. I think there are specifics that we don't know that it would be good to see, but yes. I think we can tell, generally speaking, that he cares about him. I think you're giving it too much credit. I genuinely think you're giving the show too much credit, because you can't deny this character came in late hour. He did. Yes, totally. The only thing that we got as far as their relationship is concerned is a flashback in which they talks about a book. And that's it. Well, there's that. But remember when Ash pulled the trigger? Go look at Blanca's face. I mean, he looked heartbroken. Heartbroken. Not just like, holy fuck, this kid's nuts. It was like, he looked very could that just emotionally be wounded by. I don't think it was shock. What I read, and we're admittedly getting into subjective interpretation. What I read on it was a hurt, and then how kind of his reaction to Ash throwing away his pride, admitting that he's in love, and saying, Tanomu, please don't hurt Eiji, and like Blanca's eyes got so big, and it's like, wow, like this really means a lot to you. He understands from their relationship what it means for this man Ash Lynx to beg someone for something, to throw his pride away. Not that stops him saying I'll kill him anyway if I have to. If he genuinely cared, he wouldn't be doing any of this. Well, I mean, you're talking about the way you and I care about people, right? I mean, I think he has feelings, but the priorities are obviously fucked up. I think finally what I'm trying to say is that I want more concrete stuff. I don't want things going round about the edges. I don't want subtleties of this late hour, this new character. You've got very little time to make me care. So you cut the ambiguity right out here. Let's have some concrete background information about who the fuck he is, what his relationship with his Ash is, apart from just being a mentor. Give us concrete info. Don't dance around shit. There's a time and a place for subtlety. That's fine. I mean, there were moments with Golzine earlier in the show, with what we learned about when he did the wine tasting thing. Right. Showing off his pride in having honed Ash to be that kind of person, how he wanted to be dressed up. So that's something I can point to. But I have so very little to go on here that isn't just interpretation or, my one detail. I can't escape the artifice of this character coming in here and get past that at this late hour. I need more concrete stuff. Give me something proper to talk about. Don't dance around the fact that Golzine's going to do that. Fucking talk about it in the open. Be upfront with each other. You can't sugarcoat shit like that where you've got a guy who's going to fucking rape him practically every day of his life. Actually have the hard conversations. I know that you said it's difficult for people to talk about that, as it rightly would be. But maybe we can even at least get a hint that they do find it difficult. I'm not saying they have to talk about it, but at least, let's just have something more than what we get, which is, well, hey, you could be wealthy, kid. It'd be great. Which is a fucking non-argument in the face of the actual harsh reality. What did you think about, Mirror brings up his whole thing, Blanca's whole thing, when he says, at the end, I have to follow my role, but no matter what, I'm going to be praying for you. Do you think that speaks of any, you know, yeah. I mean, I don't want to. I don't want to like belittle your point because I don't disagree with it. You know, and the whole thing smacks of like, and maybe this is not true. You know, you guys in the chat can tell me. The whole thing smacks of like, things being cut out for adaptation. Like, it feels like there were a lot of small details that could be added that could make you as a viewer more happier and care more about this whole thing. But it feels like for time's sake they might have been cut. I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, there was mention in one of our previous streamer thoughts that we're coming towards the end of the show, but there's still quite a lot of material to adapt.
Yeah.
So like the volume to episode ratio is going up, which of course means more things have to be cut.
It felt like what happened during the credits was that. It felt like a whole bunch of shit happened, and then like that could have been a whole volume of manga.
Yeah. How many credit sequences are they going to have to eject in the credits in the end? We're never going to see it again. I mean, also the opening, like the opening bit before the OP was only 20 seconds long.
It was very short.
They are maxing out the amount of like screen time they're getting to this. Holy shit. I don't know. I think maybe it's perhaps part of my broader frustrations that I wish this show went into more detail. Like we actually had more conversations and more in-depth soul searching, you know, the intimacy stuff I mentioned before. That kind of thing. Because to me, as I've said, like in the previous stream of thought where we talked about rape very briefly, everyone's favorite subject, you can't half-ass this stuff. You have to give it the proper treatment it deserves. And I think that if you do it properly, it can make for incredibly compelling and heart-wrenching, you know, drama. Indeed, that's what we had earlier in the show. I think that what you said about wanting to have more reactions like you did when Ash got the gun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think if you wanted more of that, then this would have been a prime opportunity to properly develop that by actually having them talk about what's happened to him. I mean, this is a character who is on Golzi's side, but is clearly not of the same perspective, at least as I understand. So what's his perspective on what's happened to Ash? Does he find it distasteful? Does he not care? Is it irrelevant? Or is he on board with it? Can we get that perspective, maybe? This is the stuff I want. I want more things like that from this new character who, to me, otherwise just really comes across as, well, Kryptonite, I'd say. I want him not to be Kryptonite. I want him to have something to do with Ash that isn't just strictly speaking about being better than him and offering what to me often reads like lip service to feeling for him. How about we have some genuine emotional engagement here? Or I could just get him to read anyway. I don't fucking. Just saying. Just saying.
Oh. Well, do you have any other talking points? We launched into a long discussion.
Of course I don't. No, of course not. No, I'm done. I mean, I said what I wanted to say about the scene, you know, the direction of the scene with the gun, which was fan-fucking-tastic. The scene between AG and Ash. I mean, I don't know if you could make a whole show of it, but I do genuinely always enjoy the slice of life stuff between. And to the show's credit, also never feels out of place. I mean, if anything, it again forms part of that dichotomy. That, you know, if anything, think of it this way, right? We have the opening scenes between them after the opening, which is, you know, of normality, quote unquote. Mm-hmm. It's breakfast. Get out of bed, you bedhead. Oh, you reading the newspaper in the morning. It's a bit twee, perhaps, but it's certainly, you know, charming in its own right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's these two enjoying each other's company on a regular morning. That's what we want for the characters.
Exactly. It's necessary.
Yeah. Not only do I want to see more of it because I enjoy watching it, because also it would be, you know, I'm emotionally invested in seeing them succeed and have that forever, insofar as people, you know, live their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a contrast with the end of the episode, which is it's only a dream now. It's gone from reality to simply what could have been. Because as far as Ash is concerned, at least as far as I think he's concerned, game over. That's it.
Until he does a thing that you didn't know about, but he knew all along.
Ash Links goes Super Saiyan.
Yes. He channels Arthur, who is now mysteriously
don't
from
channel
beyond the
Arthur,
grave.
Jesus.
Well, from beyond the grave, he understands Ash.
Oh, whoa, Miro, there was oh fuck. That's criminal. Like, fuck everything I said about Blanca being an underwhelming, introduction there. That is actually a war crime.
Okay, for people who are listening to this in podcast form and can't see the chat, this episode cut Ash and Eiji's ramen date, says Mirror. And that just sounds bad. That sounds like a capital offense.
That is shit I would have tried at The Hague.
What are you doing?
That is war crime.
I mean, give the show to someone else at this point. What the fuck?
Am I right? Fucks it.
God.
Anyway, no, I have nothing else to add, really. So, Doc, do you have anything else you want to talk about?
Well, I'd like to talk about Yu Lung, actually, because...
Ooh. I always down to talk about you.
Wow, like, I just love this character so much. Like, everything about, like, just about every minute he's on screen in this episode ruled. His interactions with Blanca, like, were really I don't know, this is a classic powerful men talk, classic gangster speak, where you can just feel under a veneer of kind of polite discussion they have their dicks out and they're measuring and they're like, testing each other. And it's great. And then when the whole scene... Can
I just interrupt and say, when you said that, given that Golzine was one of those three men, I just thought, no.
He's like, what? They're out?
I was just being allegorical. I didn't mean to. We didn't actually have Golzine. You didn't have
settle down, Dino. Settle down.
Put away that fucking ice cream cone right now. There's your mental nightmare fuel there, folks. Enjoy.
God, the warehouse scene, where he's in control, Shadon. He's got Ash, he's like, ha, well. Look who it is. Look what the cat dragged in.
Yeah. Fuck you,
like,
beat me to it.
I've got a pistol pointed at you, and I hold all the cards. You just meekly came in here. Ash is all like, you can't do it, little girl. And it's like, ha, you're gonna do it. And then Ash just does it. And, like, everything is turned on its head. And Yu Lung is just, like, it's like he's been in some kind of earthquake emotionally. He's, like, shook, just thrown across the room. Like... And how it's just brilliantly acted, brilliantly drawn. Just, like, that confidence, like, just shatters. And he's like, why? Yeah. Like, and all the pretension drops. Why the fuck are you doing this for a guy like him? Like, what is so special about Eiji Okumura? Like, you're Ash Lynx. I recognize everything that you are. Like, why this person? And then, it happens again when Ash agrees, agrees to make all the sacrifices and meet all the demands. Like, Yu Lung wanted him to resist. He wanted that pushback. I think he kind of gets off on...
He wanted to play with him. This is the thing, right? I think
him, yeah.
Yeah, I think that Luke Young is like the mass manipulator he is. He wanted to have that victory. Not to have killed Ash, not to have, physically wounded, but more to have beaten him in a game of wits, I suppose, chess, that kind of, like. And yeah, he still, for me, remains the most interesting character by far, because he is, again, as I said before, the parallel to Ash, the dark side of him, literally. Similar ideas. He can't, however, comprehend what Ash has finally, awoken to, which is the idea of attachment to another human being, because like Ash, he simply had no one who ever gave a shit about him and indeed treated him as nothing more than a tool. But Ash is the right way of thinking, which is that he's open to the idea of attachment, if not intimacy, as the materials doesn't seem willing to go into that. But attachment, certainly, of, being that close to someone, of bonds even, there's your persona stuff right there. Whereas Luke's like, no, he can't comprehend it. It's like him trying to read a language he doesn't understand,
Right, Blanca. Blanca has to cut in and say that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. Also a reason why I don't like Blanca now, because he explains what we could otherwise figure out. Fuck you, Blanca. Fucking Blanca. But yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly with you.
He's so good this episode, man.
He's good in every episode.
Yeah. No, I agree. But I thought he's just especially... I just especially just drank in the scenes in which he's there doing his thing. And yeah, I mean, like, he wants that resistance because... yeah, I mean, this is how, I guess, how the way he knows to relate to people is to challenge them.
He has two ways he can relate to people, in my opinion. One is that it's always a question of, what can you give me and what will I give you in return?
Mm-hmm.
A deal, a trade. And it doesn't need to be anything physical. It can be, fear, subservience, and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And the other way he relates to people is through manipulation, deception, and control. Be that through Banana Fish, or be that through what he did with Sue Lake, where he was doing the Obi-Wan ship. But for him, the other way it relates to people, which isn't, how do I put this? A no strings attached, mutual friendship, like, something genuine, something, that's not based on either, well, this person is only talking to me because he wants something from me, or alternatively, I'm only talking to this person because I want something from them and I'm going to lie to them about it. As opposed to, we don't want anything from each other apart from just something, pure, a friendship, We're not trying to deceive or con or take anything or troll. It's just friendship, simple as that. And he can't understand that because he's never known it. His brothers have basically treated him like shit his entire life. So yeah, no, he continues to be, as far as the villains are concerned at least, the most interesting one by far. Because otherwise we've got, Golzine's a rapist, so immediately all ambiguity or subtlety about him is irrelevant. We've got, Fast Fingers Arthur, who was utterly fucking useless. And we've got Blanca, who's the 11th hour, well, someone's going to put the brakes on this shit.
The Renaissance man, who's also contract killer.
I'm so sad he doesn't have his own, jazz theme every time he walks in.
I drink wine, I read Hemingway, and I, have a sniper rifle.
All my complaints about him would be ignored if he just simply, every time he walks in, just like that smooth, noir jazz player.
They're just like KOF music.
No, not even KOF. No. Just literally smooth noir,
smoother. Okay.
Smooth noir, pulp jazz. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I could get behind that.
Get the saxophone going.
Yeah. Okay.
Or if he spoke in that noir voice, like I said, well,
if he became the narrator, for the episode, I wandered into the bar and I knew two things right away. One, that Leggy Blonde was dynamite. Two, I was in for trouble. Or some fucking shit.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's the shit right there.
Yeah. So I was gonna say about you, Lung, I think so I know he knows that he doesn't know Ash as well as other people know him in terms of interpersonal relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Not that other people have those with Ash, but we'll just leave that there as a placeholder. I think he believes he understands ontologically what Ash is and no one else does. He understands that Ash is this sort of this king, this god, this higher being, almost, you know what I mean? No one else gets that. And I think what he said, there's two kinds of ways people should relate to Ash, challenging him or worshiping him. I feel like he said something to that effect in an earlier episode, and I think he's seen the way Ash reacts, and I think he's very surprised at and him giving up, not just, I mean, certainly for Eiji, like for the sake of this human trash or whatever, but like who's not equal to you. He's just a human, and you're the Lynx, you know, you're up here, like, but also giving up. Like, I think he just wants to see like a cornered rat, you know what I mean? Wants to see like Ash in all his glory, like unfettered, cornered, and then just tearing everyone apart that's cornered him, and just going all out and slaughtering, and, you know, just being a feral, like, beautiful killer. And him not getting that is a shock to his system. And so I don't know, I feel that I may be a little bit off, and I think he also wants to, like, I don't know, there's a part of him that, like, wants some kind of attachment to him. I mean, he's clearly jealous of Eiji.
He's clearly jealous, I'd say, not of Eiji himself, but more that he doesn't have an Eiji in his life.
Oh, so you don't think that he would want that kind of attachment to Ash? Because I could buy that.
I think that the parallel here is that, like I said with Su Ling, he kind of wanted that, you know, he tried to emulate it but couldn't understand how to do it. And I think that maybe now that he has got some more understanding of, like, what Ash thinks of Eiji, I think maybe he wants not Eiji himself, but more the concept of an Eiji, that person who can be that, you know, pure, you know, not, God, what does it say? Not suspect, you know, like, genuine. There you go, genuine and authentic. Someone who is genuine and authentic to him in the way that Eiji is towards Ash.
Does he want? I feel like he hates that about Eiji. Like,
well,
he hates that he's ordinary, you know.
I think he's denied. I think maybe he's slightly in denial.
Okay,
of that.
I can totally, I can see that. Like, I can buy that.
And the thing is, maybe he can't understand it.
Yeah, I could buy both. I could buy him wanting Ash to care about him and being jealous in that very specific way, or a more kind of vague way also, like you mentioned, like, there's this thing, like, why do you care about it? It's not real. I'm gonna fucking show you it's not real. Like, he's nothing to you. Yeah, I don't know if those two things are at odds, though. I'm trying to work out in my head of Yutlung as the one who understands that Ash is the deity that is Ash Lynx, and then Yutlung as one who despises the Ash Eiji connection. I'm trying to think if those are contradictory to one another. I'll have to think on it a bit.
Yeah. For me, I just think that he understands it, and it seems like anathema to him, even though he ultimately wants it. But because he can't feel he can have it, or can't comprehend it, even though he wants it, at the same time he can ace it. It's like, you know, love-hate thing. I mean, do I want to bring out the T word here? Probably not.
The T word?
Tsundere.
How dare you? How dare you tropify our beloved Yutlung?
It's not like I want
exile you.
It's not like I want an Eiji in my life, Baka.
Baka.
Oh, that was easy. That was too easy, that.
Oh, fuck.
And I think I peaks now for the night.
Okay. Well, I know it's probably getting late on your end, so we can draw the curtain to a close.
Let's rate the episode as well while we're at it.
Let's do it.
Okay. Do you want to go first, Doc, or shall I?
Yeah, I will. I didn't know what to think when we met before the stream. I was still working things out in my head. But as I've talked about it, the episode has risen in my estimation. Despite agreeing with you about the introduction, that the timeliness or lack thereof of the introduction of not Arthur, Blanca, it doesn't you know, for me, degrade the episode as much as it might for you. So I think still in all, I'm going to give this episode a 4.15 what 4.15 red scarves of affluence out of 5.
Fair enough. For me, although I still think that Blanca is I said Blanca Slace, and I'll say no more than that, and I didn't care for him. I am still of the opinion that all of the other stuff that we got with both the slice of life stuff with AG and Ash, and also the scenes in which Ash was dealing with Yu Long, with the gun, those were spectacular, brilliant. Basically everything in this episode up till the point when Blanca was alone with Ash, I was really on board with. That unfortunately drops it down, but I am still ultimately going to give this episode 3.5 Furby t-shirts out of 5.
I should have done shrimps, prawns, but I couldn't.
Slow news days?
That's also good. That's much better than that. I couldn't think of how to describe the scarf that Dino was wearing. And also, it looked like Blanca had sort of a matching shirt to Dino's scarf.
He had like a Caribbean floral t-shirt, which I suppose
was it okay. It's weird because it was sort of like a traditional Chinese collar on one shirt, and then he had like 2 coats over it. Like one of them buttoned far too low. I feel like there's a one shot where it looks like at least when I normally button a coat, it's probably like around here. It felt like the button was like way down here. You know what I mean? Like. And he's just like all chest. The button is way too low.
I also noticed how fucking tall Blanca is. He must be like at least 7 foot. Can you imagine him trying to go through a door? Like, he's just got to lean his head down a little bit. Man tries to go for it. Man can't go for either the drive-thru or the front door of a McDonald's. Too fucking tall. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, MBs, thank you all very much for joining us on this fine evening to discuss episode 18, Islands in the Stream. We will be back next week to discuss episode 19. In the meantime, if you want to find us on the good old internet and social media, where nothing horrible ever happens, ever on social media, you can find us, or you can find us at Warui Deshou. You can email us at warudeshow@gmail.com. You can find me, if you're interested in speaking to me directly, you fools. You can find me at Shadon1010 and also Shadon1010 on Curious Cat. And over to the man across the pond, Doc, where can they find you?
At The Subtle Doctor on Twitter. You can find also us on SoundCloud or YouTube. Just search for Warui Deshou. You should be able to find it. Thank you to everybody in the chat, as always, for being awesome. Always a really fun discussion with you guys.
Yeah.
We so appreciate it. Thanks to folks like Panino, who, emailed us a screed about why Macross is bad. I'm not going to go into reading it here because I just disagree fundamentally with basically all the points. But we appreciate him taking the time to send that to us. And as I've mentioned before, folks like Karais sending in all kinds of bits and bobs about Asian culture and how it relates to what happens in Banana Fish. Much appreciated. Go follow Karais's Tumblr blog. If you search Twitter for @Karais87, there should be a link to her Tumblr. She's a translator and does good work.
Quick shout, by the way, as well, if you want some content from people who are not as white as the driven snow and or cishet. You can also find some really excellent content from anime feminists on Banana Fish. They've done talks with people who are LGBTQ plus in Japan and what their reactions are. So rather than listening to me speculate on that, listen to people who actually would know about that, have a read of that. They've also talked about the racial profiling and such from the 80s that's present in the show. So do check out their articles on Banana Fish. If I had any takeaway that I wanted to give you from this, apart from what I've said, well, firstly, don't take what we've said on its own. Seek out other material on the subject matter. Explore all the angles. There's obviously a lot of discussion about the show and people have a lot of varied thoughts. We did have some feedback just recently of what it meant to a particular individual who I'm not naming because it's not my place to point out or reveal what they said, even if it is in the public domain or not. But I will say that I appreciate everyone passing that info to us. And
thank
as
you
I always
for
stress,
mentioning that, because that person knows who that they are. And as you said, the comments out there, but don't want to signal boost it for
it's not our place.
Bad, potential reasons. But it was very, I was touched by it, and I very much appreciate that person listening and / watching.
Yeah. So just for myself before I sign off, I will again just remind people, I'm always happy to have people here, but don't let us be the end point of the discussion for this show or any other for that matter. Look up all the material you can, get varied opinions and perspectives on it. But as always, again, thank you everyone so much for joining us as always. We'll see you next week for Banana Fish episode 19. We're in the home stretch.
Oh wait, before we go.
Whoa.
Twitter ポール
I gotta mention the polls that we did
boy.
this week. So
that we do.
I'm gonna refresh just to make sure they're all on screen. All right, there are 2 that you could vote on for the next 7 days. Was the opening of the warehouse scene between Ash and Yutlung the best Banana Fish scene in weeks? Choices are OMG yes, sure, and nah. So far, OMG yes is winning, 44% to 33 to 23 respectively. The 23% that say nah, who are you? Poll, do you like the Blanca character in Banana Fish as of this episode? 63% say yes, 37% say no. Those are the polls from this week. Let me just take a quick, just to mention very quickly, while we were talking to the open polls from last time did close, are all existent humans horny for Ashlings ended in a 50-50 tie.
So basically 100%.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. No matter what. Like I said, everyone is Ash sexual, as you pointed out. Is the addition of PowerPoint the best addition to the Banana Fish anime adaptation? 88% saying yes. I believe that was close to, if not the exact number that it was at the start of the show. So those remained as they were. Now we're up to date on the polls. Get out and vote. Do your part. Change the world.
Go grab a coffee. It's been a long stream.
Yes.
Indeed. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much. As always, embrace you for everyone. It's the end of the universe. We'll see you next week.
Adios. Mwah.